Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Education Summit 2022. We really thank you for joining us today. Um, we are just a second. So, yeah, so good. We are joined by Ms. Gunjan Malik, a registered migration agent from Aussizz Group, Melbourne, holding more than 14 years of work experience in immigration and case management roles. She's specialized in employer-sponsored visas, general skill migration, partner visas, and complex migration cases. This involves working with clients to make their application decision ready in order to ensure the Department of Home Affairs application and processing seamless. Um, and we are also joined by Mr. Harshit Taylor, a registered migration agent and an expert in general skilled migration visas. They specialize in advising in student visas in best courses suitability that aid their permanent settlement process in Australia. He has an in-depth understanding of the way of immigration system, and is there to assist his clients to determine the most suitable visa pathways for them. Welcome, both migration agents. Um, to the audience, our expert will be waiting to take your questions. Please post your questions in the chat box, and we will answer the queries at the end of the session. Also, we have some very exciting giveaways for our attendees. You can see in the background as well in the screen. We want to take the session deep and interactive, and we encourage questions and feedbacks. We have bumper prizes to claim for ones who leave the most descriptive review under this Facebook post. I'll share the link. Tag your friends, tag Aussizz Education Summit 2022 in the comment section along with your feedback. Also, the most participated audience member from the chat box is eligible to get free giveaways such as free PTE coaching, IELTS coaching, PR consultation. We encourage you to come be a part of our summit. Thank you. I'll hand over from here to Mr. Harshit to continue.
Thank you, Hina. And thank you, viewers, for joining our session. I hope you like today's session. So today we'll be talking about cookery occupations and automotive occupations. So I will be taking cookery occupations, and my colleague Ms. Gunjan Malik will be explaining regarding the automotive occupations. So we'll be discussing regarding the skill assessment pathways and the PR pathways for those occupations. So let's get started with that. So yeah, first we'll discuss about the cookery occupations. So what are the occupations in cookery occupations? So the first occupation is the chef, and the another one is cook. So people will be wondering that both of the occupations are kind of similar, but what is the difference between those occupations? So a chef occupation is basically a skilled occupation as compared to the cook occupation. So what a chef does basically is a skilled person who is trained to understand flavors, cook techniques, like create different recipes from scratch with fresh ingredients and high level of responsibility within the kitchen. While what a cook does is like they follow an established cooking recipes, okay, and they can be working under the chef as well. So like as chef is a skilled occupation, there are many positions and specialization within that occupation. So as you can see, for example, chef de partie, commis chef, demi chef, then there are sous chef, head chef, and executive chefs. So you can be working under those positions if you are getting occupations under chef. So now we will be discussing the average hourly pay rate for a chef in Australia. So let's say if you have studied chef and if you want to work as a chef in Australia, so you will be wondering that what are the per hour rates or what you'll be earning while you'll be working in Australia as a chef. So you can start as a casual basis, mostly on the casual basis. If you start as a commis chef, then your hourly rate will be 22 to 24 hours dollars per hour. Then you can enhance your skill and you can go up to a sous chef, and then you can go up to head chef and executive chef, which is the most senior role. So a sous chef can earn around 55,000 to 100,000 per year depending on their skills, and an executive chef can earn around 80,000 the starting salary. uh, then can go up to 120,000 per year. Let's look at what are the prospects for a chef in Australia. So what are the job prospects? So chef is a very large occupation and they work in industries such as hospitality industries, accommodation and food services, healthcare, social assistance, and arts and recreation services. So most of the chefs work in hospitality industry. So Australia's hospitality industry is very huge and it's growing all the time. So over the past years, if you have seen, there is a demand of chefs skyrocketed, and the Australian government has predicted that within the next 5 years, okay, the job openings will reach up to 80 to 100,000 jobs in Australia. So as in conclusion, you can see that there are very high job prospects for a chef in Australia, and they are getting better and better. So if you are planning to work as a chef, then it will be good in Australia. Now we will look at the skill assessment authorities. So first we'll understand that what is a skill assessment and what are the pathways for the skill assessment. So for the skill assessment, I can see just here that skill assessment, firstly, just give me a moment. Okay, so what is a skill assessment first? It's a skill assessment is a letter or a letter given from the skill assessment authorities, okay, like determined which will determine your ANSCO code or which will determine your occupation. So that is called the skill assessment authority. And why we require the skill assessment authority? So skill assessment will require to get PR pathways for the GSM skill migration visas, let's say for 189, 190, and 491 visas, and for employer sponsor visas, will require skill assessment. That's why we require the skill assessment authorities to provide us a skill assessment as a chef or as a cook. So first we'll look at the skill assessment authorities, which is trade recognition Australia. So they have got two pathways, which is job ready program and overseas offshore skill assessment program, OSAP. Okay, so we'll be discussing regarding that job ready program and OSEP via Trade Recognition Australia. And there are another pathways under OSEP, which are VETASYS, William English, and Australian Trade Training College as well. So these are monitored by Trade Recognition Australia's only. And if you meet the requirements of your employment, which are 3 years of experience plus 3 years of experience, then you will be eligible for that pathway. So first we'll be discussing the job ready program pathway, which is the most common pathway used by the Australian graduates over here in Australia.
Harshit, maybe you can share your screen about the presentation.
Uh, can you see my screen?
Not the presentation.
I think it is shared. Just give me a moment.
Maybe some. Or you can keep going. Sorry to interrupt you.
That's
Yeah, great.
completely
That's
fine.
better. Okay,
Yeah,
thank
can you see?
you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so priority, we are at job ready program. Okay, so what is the job ready program? Job ready program is an employment based skill assessment program for international student graduates who have studied in Australia and who have a qualification of certificate 3 and certificate 4, which is the minimum requirement for a chef to do the qualification. And this program, the main requirement is that you must have held a student visa as a primary applicant. So you might have heard like that sometimes this is the main requirement because, for example, I'll give you an example. Let's say you come here as a main student visa primary applicant. Okay, then as a secondary applicant on TR, someone studies chef and they want to do a job ready program, so they won't be eligible to do a job ready program on the basis of that. Okay, so you must have to understand that if you are a student as a primary applicant, then only you will be doing the job ready program. Otherwise, you won't be eligible to do this program. So I suggest you consult a migration agent, okay, while you study over here, or if you take that step to do a job ready program. Okay, so the job ready program is divided into 4 steps. So the first step is the provisional skill assessment. So what the provisional skill assessment actually does, that if you have 360 hours of employment with you while studying, then you can apply for this provisional skill assessment, and it can help you to get your 485 visa as well. And once you have received this provisional skill assessment, which will cost you $200, then you can start your job ready employment, which is the second step. So in this step, what you need to do, you need to register your employer. You need to provide employment verification report, and you need to register your employer that you will be performing these duties with that employer, and you will be completing your 1725 hours of employment with them to be eligible to get the skill assessment with them. So job ready employment second step will cost you $450, and it must require a successful PSA outcome in order to be registered for that. And once you have finished like 6 to 8 months with that employer, then you will be eligible for the third step. The third step is job ready workplace assessment, which will cost you $25-40. So what happens in the third step? So basically in the third step, your an assessor will come to your place, and they will check that what duties you will be doing, and they will assess you over there. And once you meet these requirements and the assessor is happy with whatever you have done, and when you receive a successful outcome, then you will be eligible for the fourth step, which is job ready uh, final assessment. So job ready final assessment will cost you $65. So in that job ready final assessment, once you meet the 12 months of requirement in 1725 hours, you will be getting your final assessment outcome, and that will help you to apply for GSM visas or any employer sponsor visas if you want to go for. And you must have a full-time work rights. As you can see over here, you must have a full-time work rights if you want to register for the step 2, which is the job ready employment. So either you must have applied for a 485 visa, or either you hold a 485 visa to be eligible for that one. Okay, so minimum of 12 months of visa should be there. It should not be like that if you hold a 485 visa, but your 485 visa is just for 8 months, then you are not eligible for this program. So please use your 485 visa wisely while you are on 485 visa to apply for the job ready program. So here, as I discussed, that use your bridging visa wisely. So these are some tips and tricks for using the job ready program. So whenever you lodge your 485 visa, due to this pandemic, currently the processing time of 485 visa is around uh, 5 to 8 months. So at that time, when you have applied for the 485 visa and your student visa is about to expire, then you can get enrolled in the job ready program, and that will help you to finish your 6 to 8 months of employment, and which will help you uh, so it can be possible that whenever the job ready program is completed, you might have received your 485 visa. So use that bridging visa bonus wisely, so you will be eligible. And you can also claim your prior employment. So what is a prior employment? Let's say if you applied for the first step of job ready employment, which is 360 hours, and it may take around 2 to 3 months to get the outcome of that step, and then you can be eligible for the step 2. Then at that time, that 2 or 3 months which you have done, and if you have continued to work as a chef, then it can help you to get a prior employment claim for that. So you need to provide your evidences like pay slips, bank statement. So if you have worked over there, then you can claim those points. So whatever hours you have done at that time can be counted in that 1725 hours and in within that 12 months. Okay, and you must complete 1725 hours and 1 year requirement. So let's say whatever is the you complete later, let's say if you complete 1800 hours but it's still 11 months for you, then you must complete 1 year at least, then only you will get your skill assessment. So 1 year is a must. And you can change up to 5 employers while you are working at the job ready program. So let's say if you want to do 2 months with the same employer, if you change your state or something like that, then you can change your employer. So that won't be a problem. Maximum 5 employers are allowed. And you can also receive, the main point is that you can also receive 5 points for your skill employment. Let's say if you want to claim that 5 points in expression of interest in any 190, 491 or 189 visa, then you are eligible to do that 5 points. Now let's move to the other one. So the next one is the OSEP. So OSEP, to be eligible for OSEP, you require at least 3 years of experience as a cook or a chef, and your passport country must be from this list. So if your passport country is from that list and you have that required experience, then you are eligible to apply for OSEP. And as I already previously told you, that VETASYS, William English and ATTC college, they can get you skill assessment, these that work under the TRA, and they can get your skill assessment done under the OSEP program. So if you have got experience, let's say I'll suggest that if you got 3 years of experience, and you have studied offshore wherever in India, then you are eligible. So the difference between OSEP and the job ready program is that job ready program is for the applicants who have studied in Australia, while OSEP is for the ones who have studied offshore but they still have got experience at offshore or maybe anywhere in Australia, then they are still eligible to apply under this program. So the next one is the VETASYS. So VETASYS is another program, okay, under the OSEP. So if you have got, let's say, uh, there are two pathways in that. So if you have an Australian qualification, and if you have got 3 years of experience, then you are eligible for this pathway. So you require either 3 to 5 years of experience in as a chef to be eligible under that pathway. And the another pathway too is you do have an Australian qualification. So it will also require 3 years of full-time experience. Okay, and the requirement for this one is that you must have at least 12 months of experience in the last 3 years. So how VETASYS works? So you can see over here that there are two stages of application in VETASYS. So first one is the evidence review. So whatever documents you have submitted, so they will review, and then those documents will be assessed by an assessor, and they will check your application. After your documents and everything is checked, then they will call for a technical interview. And in technical interview they can ask you questions in English, and English, you there is no interpreter allowed in this one. So the technical interview will be conducted in English only. In addition to technical interview, they can ask you, for the chef they can ask specifically questions about hygiene, safe food handling, and that online test must be completed for the chef cookery occupations. Now we will move on to GSM and PR pathway. So for GSM PR pathway, there are three pathways in that. So first one is 189, 190, and 491. So 189 is independent stream, and 190 and 491 is state nominated pathway, and also family sponsorship comes under 491. So what points you have to keep in mind while applying the GSM pathway? That applicant must have at least competent English. So currently people are trying for 7 each and 8 each, so at least they can score higher points. But competent English is the main requirement. You should have at least full skill assessment. Full skill assessment we just discussed that either via job ready program or via OSEP program, you should have a full skill assessment. You should have at least 65 points in your expression of interest. Currently, Department of Home Affairs, they are not inviting for 189, 190 or 491 at 65 points. You require higher points depending on which state you are applying for. But 65 points is the minimum requirement to be eligible to lodge an expression of interest. and that 65 points will be including the state nomination points. So you will get like 5 points from 190 state nomination and 15 points for the 491 state nomination. And for chef occupations, as it is in MLT SSL list, they are also eligible for family sponsorship pathway as well under the 491, and you will get 15 points for that as well. While the cook, they are not eligible for family sponsorship and 189 visa because it's in STSL list, which is in short-term skill list. So as you can see this table, so these are the points requirements and what are the requirements. So we just discussed that. So you can just briefly have a look at it. So the points requirement is 65 points in all of them. So which is the minimum requirements, including state points or including relative points as well for 491. And for full skill assessment, you require skill assessment in all of them. That's the main requirement, and 6 each is also the main requirement. The difference over here in 189 and 190 is that 189, 190, and 491 is that 189 and 190 is a permanent pathway, while 491 is a regional visa, so which is called provisional PR pathway. So once you have got that visa, you will be staying for 5 years. You will get the visa for 5 years, and you have to stay in regional for 3 years, and you have to work in any occupation to be eligible to apply for a PR visa, which is 191. So that is also a good pathway right now. So you can apply for that as well. Moving forward, we'll have a look at each state one by one. So the first state for the state nomination is New South Wales. So we'll have a look at the 190 state nomination and 491 state nomination for NSW. So NSW has highest number of seats for the state nomination allocated by the Department of Home Affairs. So if you are a chef or cook for 190, you require at least 3 years of experience to be eligible for a 190 pathway. And with 3 years of experience, you must be residing in NSW. So residing onshore means you must be living in NSW. And if you are living in NSW, you either have 3 months of stay in NSW or you should be working in your nominated occupation to be eligible to lodge in EOI for that. So if someone thinks that they have got 3 years of experience and they have good points, I'll suggest they can move to NSW to try their luck and they can get an invitation over there for 190. The another one is 491 regional. So in 491, there are three streams they have been decided by NSW. So they have got different RDAs, which are called regional development areas. So in stream one, if you are living and working in NSW for past 12 months. So let's say if you are working as a chef and you have lived in regional from past 12 months, then you are eligible to apply for stream one. Stream two is for those who have studied over there for 2 years in NSW and they've got a skill assessment. And the stream three is for the ones who are recently moving over there or are living in any other state. So if you have just got the skill assessment as a chef or a cook, then you are eligible to apply under stream three of 491 NSW. The next option is Victoria. So Victoria also has a third largest number of seats for state nomination. So currently, due to the labor shortage, Victoria has added chef occupations for 190 state nomination as a workforce skill pathway. So they have included chef occupations in that. And if you are a skilled chef and if you're working anywhere in metropolitan Victoria, then you will be eligible to apply for 190 state nomination over here. So the process is that you need to submit an ROI first, registration of interest, and then you have to wait for an invite from them. The second pathway is the 491 region. It's the same as 190, but in this one you must be living in and working in regional if you want to be eligible to be apply for 491 regional. The points will be bit less as compared to 190 in 491 regional. So because you will be getting 15 points from the state, and in 190 it will be 5 points. So this can also be a pathway if you're a skilled chef living and working in Victoria. So you can apply for 190 or 491. The another option is South Australia. So South Australia, there are two options in that. Like in South Australia, they have divided South Australia into South Australia graduates and non-graduates. So if you have studied in South Australia in your nominated occupation, then you are considered a South Australia graduate. So if you want to apply for South Australia under the South Australian graduate stream, then the first option is for 190. So after studying in South Australia, if you have 12 months of experience in outer region of South Australia, then you are eligible to apply for 190. So South Australia actually is a whole regional area, but they have divided them for the purpose of 190 and 491 visa. So the first one is Greater Adelaide, and the second one is outer region of South Australia. So outer region of South Australia is basically remote area of South Australia. So if you live like 80 to 100 kilometers away from Greater Adelaide, then you will be considered living in outer region of South Australia. They have also provided their postcodes on their website. So if you are not sure, then you can have a look at the postcodes and you can find over there that it's in coming under Greater Adelaide or outer region of South Australia. The second option on the graduate stream is that if you have studied over then and if you have got 12 months of experience in Greater Adelaide or 3 months of experience in outer region of South Australia, then you will be eligible to apply for 491. So let's say anyways chef and cook has to do their job ready program. So I'll suggest that if you choose this state after study, then 12 months of experience if you do if you studied in South Australia and if you do your job ready program over there in your nominated occupation, then you will be eligible for either 491 or 190 depending on where you do your job ready program. And now we'll move to non-essay graduates. Okay, so let's say if you have studied in any other state and if you are planning to move to South Australia for the purpose of getting 491 or 190, or either if you want to get a job for the job ready program, then you might be eligible for 491 or 190 over there. So 190 is a bit hard. You need to work for 18 months in your nominated occupation as compared to the essay graduate. So it was 12 months. So if you have 18 months of experience in outer region of South Australia, then you are eligible for 190. And if you want to apply for 491, it will be 18 months anywhere in South Australia or either 6 months of experience in outer region of South Australia. So let's say if you've done your job ready program in outer region of South Australia, then you can be eligible for 491 easily. And if you extend that experience after job ready program, 190 can also be an option. There is also third option in South Australia. Let's say if you already finish your job ready program in any other state and if you want to move to outer region of South Australia and work in any occupation for 12 months, then also you can be eligible for South Australia. So the next options will be discussed by my colleague Ms. Gunjan, which are the other states like Tasmania, Queensland, and Northern Territory. Okay, and the other pathway for the PR are the state employer sponsor pathway. So in employer sponsor pathways, there are three visas: 186 visa, 482 visa, and 494 visa. So 186 visa is a direct PR visa. So let's say if you have got already 3 years of experience post study, which is full time, and if someone is ready to sponsor you due to this labor shortage, then yes, you are directly eligible for 186 direct entry, and that is a direct PR. While 482 and 494 visas are temporary visas, so require 2 to 3 years of experience respectively for 482 and 494 visas. So that is it from my side. Now, Ms. Guljan will take over from here.
Thank you so much, Harshit. It was a great session regarding the commercial cookery chef and cook. And what I liked is that there's a lot of people who don't understand the difference between the cook and the chef. So it's very important for them to understand that which occupations fall under the short-term list, which occupations fall under the medium-term list. And thank you, Hina, for introduction. For the introduction, it was a great introduction. Hello everyone. My name is Gunjan, and I work as a registered migration agent with Aussizz Group on Collins Street. And I'm going to share the presentation about the Board of Mechanic, the automotive courses. If you have any questions, please feel free to list them in the chat group. And even after the session, you can contact us, Harshit, me, or any other registered migration agent with Aussizz Group for any questions regarding your PR pathways. And Harshit has shared our contact details as well, so you can grab the numbers and contact us. I'm going to share my screen now. IT things are not that easy. Okay. Is my screen visible? Okay.
Yes, Gunjan, we can see
Okay.
that.
Thanks, Hina. Thought I'll double check. Sure. So this presentation is about motor mechanic. Why would you guys want to study that course? So this session is not only for people who are finishing the course, who have finished the course, but this is also for students who are confused about that which course they want to enroll in. Why should they study chef or cookery or motor mechanic or painting, welding? So this is going to be focused on the trade occupations. Now, when you study motor mechanic, what kind of jobs you will be ending up in Victoria or all over Australia? What is the scope of the jobs? Are there enough jobs or is there a skill shortage? So I'm going to be talking about some of the other things, basic criteria. My colleague Harshit, who's also an experienced registered migration agent, he has mentioned about the criterias of the skill assessment, state nominations. More or less, motor mechanic is the same process, but I'll just talk about a little bit of differences and the visa options that you can possibly proceed with after studying this course. So when we talk about motor mechanic, so the you will be probably be specialized as a brake mechanic or a roadside mechanic or vehicle mechanic, automotive air conditioning mechanic. These are the kind of jobs which generally students or people know by the terminology that, okay, I'm working as a motor mechanic, but these are the specializations and these are the jobs that you can apply for. There are some alternative titles that automotive light mechanic. Why I've listed these alternative title is because, and the task, because some people say that I'm working as a motor mechanic, but my title is different. So can I apply for a skill assessment? Yes, you may be eligible to apply for a skill assessment if your tasks are highly relevant. So if you're doing the ANSCO task, which are the skilled occupation task as a motor mechanic, you can apply as a skill assessment depending on the work experience that you have. Now, my next slide is about this the contest, which Hina also mentioned. So you can get a lot of prizes for the first winner, second winner, third runner, and yeah. All right. So Harshit also explained about the job ready program, about the skill assessment. The process is the same. Most of the trade occupations like painters, welders, um, chef, cookery, motor mechanic, the process of the job ready program is the same. So first is the provisional skill assessment for the 360 hours. Recently, I've been getting a lot of clients when I do the consultations, they have finished their certificate 4, but they said, no, I haven't done my 360 hours of work experience, paid or vocational placement. So that's the mistake a lot of students are doing, that they finish their certificate 4, the TR is about to be lodged, or they have lapsed the time frame. However, they need to be careful that you need to finish your 360 hours of paid employment before you lodge your 485 application. So before you lodge your 485, the graduate visa, you need to finish your 360 hours of paid work experience as a motor mechanic or any other trade occupation, so you can lodge your 485. You can lodge the 485 visa with the receipt. However, I do sometimes recommend that it is better to get the positive skill assessment before you lodge your 485. So a bit of a stress is relieved as well. Now, PSA is only a provisional skill assessment. You need to keep in mind to apply for your permanent residency or an employer-sponsored visa, 186, you need a skill assessment, which is a full skill assessment. Now, how do you get the full skill assessment? The full skill assessment is through VETASES and TRA. So like Harshit also explained that the skill assessment authorities are different. So similar to the chef or cook, motor mechanic, the skill assessment authorities are different. So for TRA, you need to do a job ready program. So job ready program is once you enroll into a provisional skill assessment, you keep updating your portal with the hours. So basically you need to continue your employment for 12 months. So in short, the job ready program is for 12 months. Some of the details Harshad also explained, that how many number of employers you can enroll with. So just make sure that you're doing the job ready program correctly, because if there's a little bit of mess up and you don't get your full skill assessment, then all your employment is gone waste really. Once you've got your full skill assessment, you're good to go with any state nomination, 190, 491, regional state nomination, or employer-sponsored visa. Okay, so apart from the Job Ready program, the TRA also does MSA program, the migration assessment. So for that, if you have 3 years of experience after your qualification was issued, let's keep it very simple. 3 years of work experience, you can apply for your skill assessment. If you have a qualification issued by RPL is like, for example, some students do not have qualification and they say, you know, I don't have a certificate, but I've been working as a motor mechanic for 7 years. You don't need to have a certificate sometimes to be trained as a motor mechanic. Some people have a lot of work experience as motor mechanic. So you can apply for a skill assessment still. So if you don't have a certificate, this is for even offshore candidates. It's not only for people who are studying in Australia. It's also for people who are outside Australia for offshore skill assessment. So if you have a lot of work experience and you do not hold a certificate, you can get an RPL issued. What RPL means is that the assessing authorities say that, okay, though you don't have a certificate, we are giving you this certificate saying that you are a qualified mechanic. You have a lot of experience, so you are qualified. So that's something like a little bit of tricks that you can get your assessment done as well. Now, why I'm going to talk about this average pay is a lot of people think that, oh, I don't want to do motor mechanic. They don't pay you really well. So you need to understand that any work you do, any occupation, any qualification or work experience, profession, you need to build your career to be paid more. So if you're working at an entry level, obviously you won't be that paid that much early. But if you late into a mid-career or late career and experienced motor mechanic, obviously you can get into a manager or like probably more skill. You can do more courses to upskill yourself, like the local courses as well. And once you become experienced, your pay rate also increases. I understand that as compared to the other trades, it's not a very high pay rate, but it is pretty reasonable if you want to aim towards your permanent residency. Like if you don't want to take it as a career for your lifetime, it's obviously up to you. But then obviously nobody is going to work the whole year on $26 per hour. You want to build your career more. But then obviously as per the permanent residency pathway, which can take around 2 to 3 years, because skill assessment will take 1 year, and then after that you need to have another 2 3 years of experience, and then obviously you will become a permanent resident by then, another 3 4 years, and then you can change your career if you want to. Some of the from the Australian Bureau statistics that they mentioned that they do have a skill shortage. I mean, at the time right now there's COVID, so there's skill shortage all over Australia. Regional areas, they don't have staff, especially chef and cook, the hospitality, the restaurants, they don't have staff. Everywhere I see posters in regional areas as well, there's the staff wanted for chefs especially, and even for motor mechanics. So if you look at the skill shortage, I do encourage you, if you don't know the why we are discussing this about the shortages and the pathways, is that why every time the students have a question that why should I study this course. So this is just a slide to show that there is a skill shortage and you should aim towards the skill shortages. That's just the employment outlook that has increased, and it's always like kind of becomes steady. It's never depreciated. So if you look at the motor mechanic employment, it has never depreciated. It has always, the graph has always gone up since 2015-16, and definitely this COVID started after 2020. So this has gone out a little bit down as well. These are some of the visas. Once you say, okay, Gunjan, I've finished my certificate in motor mechanic, I've finished my diploma of automotive, now what do I do? You can apply for your 485 the graduate visa. Now the department is covering it for 2 years, and you work for 1 year, do your job ready program, get your full skill assessment. Once you've got your full skill assessment, apply for state nomination 190, regional 491. The difference, one of the common questions is, what is 491 visa? It's a 5 years provisional visa where you need to live and work in a regional area for 3 years and earn a salary of 54,000. I know in regional areas it can be a little bit difficult, like Tasmania, Northern Territory, to earn up to 54,000, but you can combine 2 jobs. So I've got a client in Tasmania for 491. He's working as a security guard, and plus he's driving Uber. So you can drive Uber as well, as far as it's you complete your 3 years of full-time work experience and your salary is more than 54,000. So you work for 3 years on 491 visa and apply for 191, which is a permanent residency. Now, 491 is a state sponsored. Every state regional areas, they have their own rules for every occupation. So currently, when this COVID started, most of my consultations were regarding that which state I should move to. So do a bit of research or consult a registered migration agent that which state has what conditions attached to what occupations. So then relocate accordingly. There's no point in, like I say, okay, a lot of people saying that, okay, I'm just moving to Tasmania. I'm like, but doing what? You don't have a job there. You don't have any study options. You don't want to study. So there's no point in just relocating and sitting in a regional area. You need to plan it accordingly. Family sponsored, if you have your first cousin, brothers, sisters living in a regional area, take advantage of it and then apply for 491. 482, I would little bit focus on because I have a lot of people coming with the employers for restaurants or motor mechanic as well. I'll talk about the requirement of the 482 and 186 in my next slides because that's one of the most common questions I get regarding why we're going to discuss this is because if you don't know the conditions of the 482, 186, then um, you don't really know why you're studying that course. So you will be studying the course knowing so you can plan it accordingly. If you're working with an employer, you know you're working there for 1 year, next another 1 year, you can ask for sponsorship from the employer. All right. These are some of the state nominations. So currently motor mechanic, Northern Territory, Victoria, it's currently not available in Victoria because only chef and cookery is being through the workforce skill pathway. Victoria is only nominating. So I've got a minus where it's not available. Where it's a tick, it's available. Western Australia, you can try. South Australia also sponsoring, though they have their own requirements of work experience. Tasmania, New South Wales regional areas 491. So there are some regions in the New South Wales, like Harshit also explained, the New South Wales 491, there are different streams, stream 1, stream 2, stream 3. And obviously for New South Wales, every state, like any other state, New South Wales will also prioritize candidates who are already living there. So you can plan your pathway accordingly. For 491, like I explained, it's a provisional regional visa for 5 years. So Western Australia, South Australia is also available. Tasmania is also available. 6 months work experience requirement. Tasmania says that you can work in any occupation for 6 months, but it is not necessary that they will only invite candidates working in your own occupation. If you're working in any other skilled occupation, so I would like to talk a little bit about Tasmania is that what Tasmania says that you can work in any occupation for 6 months. However, they look at the overall commitment to the state. So let's say you have family there, your children are going to the school, or you have a small business investment there. So even if you're not working in a skilled occupation, you need to just show them, okay, you have a career there, you are settled there. So that makes a lot of difference. So if you're planning to move to Tasmania or even Northern Territory or South, so any other state, so don't just look at the basic requirement. Look at how strong your application can be as well. Okay. Now, just listed some of the graph of the state territories as well. For motor mechanic, New South Wales, 29% are trade occupations, 25%. So if you look at this graph, Canberra is probably at the lowest percentage. Obviously, the smaller the city, the less percentage of possibility of the jobs. Tasmania is a small state, Northern Territory is a small state, so the percentage is less. I've got this data from the government site, so it's very reliable information. So similar to other occupations, there's 189, 190, 491. 189 is 65 points minimum. So for any occupation that you have to lodge, the minimum points you have to do is 65 points. 190 for 5 points. Why I have listed here 60 points is that you get 5 points from the state. A lot of people have a lot of questions regarding the points test system as well. So for 491, you need 65 points minimum. So 15 points you get from the state, and or 15 points you get from the relative. So if you have a relative who is a permanent resident or a citizen, you get 15 points from them basically. So that totals to 65. Keep in mind that you do need a full skill assessment for any skilled migration pathway. And like we discussed before, for a full skill assessment, you either go through a job ready program or you do a number of years of experience, which is required by different assessing authorities. English requirements is 6 in each is minimum. Obviously, the more the better, because if you get 7, you get 10 points. If you have 8 each, you get 20 points. So the more points, the better. You have more chances of invitation. 189 is a permanent visa, 190 is a permanent visa, 491 is a temporary visa for 5 years. This point system is applicable to all occupations, not just trade occupations. Little bit about the 482, because I have a lot of clients who are working in the as a motor mechanic, or as a matter like Harshit said, that as they're working as a chef or a cook. So one of the common questions I get is that what is required by the employer and what is required by me. For 482, it's a temporary skill shortage visa. So the good news is that motor mechanic is in a medium term list. Chef is in a medium term list and cook is in a short term. So why I'm giving this example is that the occupations who are in a short term list, they can only apply for 482 for 2 years. 2 years plus 2 years. And there is no transition to PR. So 482 to from 482 to 186 you can't go really, because occupations are in a short term. But because motor mechanic is in a medium term, you can apply for 482 for 4 years, maximum 4 years. You don't really need 4 years, but 3 years is eligible to apply for 186. So, but you are eligible to apply for 4 years. Now, how much experience do you need to apply for a 482 visa? You need at least 2 years experience, full time, not casual. If you've worked 10 hours in a week, next week you've worked 60 hours, that's not going to work. If you want to apply for a 482 visa as a motor mechanic, you need to be working at least 2 years full time. You can complete this work experience on your 485 or a training visa as well. Training visa is requires only 12 months work experience. So some clients who say that I do not have 2 years experience as a motor mechanic. So if you have studied the course of a motor mechanic and you have 12 months of work experience where you did your job ready program and your visa is expiring, employer can sponsor you for a training visa. The word itself says training visa is because they're sponsoring you to be trained. And this 482, it's a skilled visa, which means you are skilled enough to be sponsored by an employer. Another difference is between training and 482 is that training visa doesn't need labor market testing. At the end of the day, it's a training visa. You need a training plan that how the employer is going to upskill you, how the employer is going to train you. Whereas 482 is a skilled visa, employer needs to justify why he's picking you and why is he sponsoring you to be a mechanic, why not other people. In short. So, like I said, occupations are medium term, eligible for 4 years. And then after 3 years of working on a 482 as a motor mechanic, you can apply for a 186 transition stream, which is a permanent residency. So some information about the 186, like we discussed, for 482, you need 2 years experience as a motor mechanic. And for 186, 3 years work experience. Now 186 is 2 streams, either direct entry or transition stream. So transition stream is you need to work for as a motor mechanic for the employer for 3 years on a 482 visa. And 186 direct entry is that if someone comes and says, I've completed my certificate for, I have a skill assessment as a motor mechanic, and I've got 3 years of experience, and I'm holding a 485 or any visa. If you have an employer, you can directly apply for 186 direct entry, which is a permanent residency. So applicants must have 3 years of full-time work experience to be eligible. Working 3 years on a 482 with the same employer or different employer doesn't matter. If you're changing your employers, you need to be careful because you need to lodge a new nomination then. So if you're changing employers, that's another story. Then you need to consult an agent so that your visa is safe. Skill assessment is mandatory for direct entry stream. No skill assessment, you can't lodge your 186 direct entry. It's mandatory. 494 is basically regional. If your employer is based in a regional area, you can apply for 494. So 494 is kind of the criteria is the same. You work for 3 years on a 494 visa, and then you apply for 191. Same skill assessment is mandatory. No skill assessment, high chances of refusal. There is no exemption for skill assessment. 482, you can be exempted for skill assessment. Training visa, you do not need a skill assessment. However, for 186, you need a skill assessment. So when we talk about 482, we talk about the first things comes to our mind is sponsorship, nomination, and visa. Now, these things are very comprehensive, but I've just summarized it to be so that it's clear. So let's say if you are studying motor mechanic, doesn't matter where, you have an employer to sponsor you. So it's got 3 aspects to it, 3 steps to it. So one is the sponsorship, then the nomination, and then the visa. Sponsorship is basically, this is about nomination, but I'm just going to talk about a little bit about the sponsorship is basically the company is eligible to sponsor you. More or less what it means is that are they financially stable? Or is it like a legal existing business? Is it running on ABN? Does it physically exist? Do they have a lease agreement? Or is it just something virtual? So the department wants to see that the employer is legitimate. So that's why they have the sponsorship, which is fair enough. So you launch the sponsorship and then comes the nomination, which is the tricky part. The nomination is about the labor market testing. Now, labor market testing is basically why the company is recruiting you. Have they made efforts to recruit someone local in the market? Why the department says is that they don't want to jeopardize who are Australian citizens or residents. So they say that obviously the migrants shouldn't take their job. So what they want to see is that you are skilled enough, you are experienced enough, so the employer is not nominating someone else for nominating you. So that job advertisement needs to be put on Job Active. That's a government site, which is mandatory. And it can be put in Seek, Indeed, or any other website. But Job Active is mandatory. And that job advertisement has to run for at least 28 days. It's not like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, because they want to see that the job was placed for a reasonable period, that it gave time to people. There are some exemptions for labor market testing as well for a 482 visa, which can be discussed on individual basis. But I do recommend to do labor market testing so it makes your application strong as well. So when you do the labor market testing from the employers, these are the proof that the department wants to see that on the job advertisement, it's not just about just putting a job advertisement. It's also about that was the job given properly, was the job advertised properly. So the position title, the description, and what company is trying to recruit and what the salary is. The salary is a very critical aspect because they want to see that how much salary you're being paid. So that's another area for 482 nomination, that you should be paid a reasonable amount of salary as per the market salary rate. That's our job to do. Like once you come to us for your inquiry and your pathway, we will discuss it accordingly. That needs to be done. Why I'm talking about this visa, as Harshit has already mentioned about the state nomination, the skill assessment. The skill assessment requirements is more or less almost the same as chef as to motor mechanic. So the requirements are the same. The tasks are different. Obviously, the occupation is different, so the task will be different. Another thing about the 482 or 186, both of them need a position genuine statement that this is separate to labor market or market salary rates. So the position genuine would say that why you need this employee for a position. Like let's say if there is a garage and there are 5 mechanics working already. So why do they need another motor mechanic? Is there enough job? Is there enough work? So is it legitimate to hire another mechanic? Is it enough customers? Or how big is the business? Second is that whether they advertise the position and they couldn't recruit any suitable candidates. So that's one of the criteria needs to be mentioned in the position genuine statement. Photos of the workshop, what's the activities going on, why the nominee is an ideal candidate, your work experience, your skills, and whether this position has been previously existed. So if someone is resigned and they've hired you, makes it easier to justify that someone's leaving and you're being hired. But if it's a new position, let's take another example of a software engineer. So if someone comes and says that we are running a workshop and we need a software engineer, it doesn't really make sense for a garage to hire a motor mechanic to hire a software engineer because it's a newly created position. So that's where it all plays a part. And then with position genuineness, it probably could be around 20 to 30 pages. So it needs to be explained to the department properly. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me or Harshit as well on this mobile number or on this email address. And like I spoke about, the 186 and 482 all are employer sponsored visas. Just to wrap up, you do your certificate for Diploma of Automotive, do your 360 hours of paid work experience. After certificate 4, you apply for your provisional skill assessment. After provisional skill assessment, you apply for your 485 visa. On a bridging visa, do your job ready program for 1 year on the 485 as well. After 1 year of work experience in the job ready program, you apply for your full skill assessment. Once you've got your full skill assessment, eligible visas, you can apply for the 189, 190 state nomination, depending on which state you are being sponsored, what is the eligibility. You can apply for 491 state nomination regional or relative sponsored. 2 years of work experience, you can apply for 482. 3 years of work experience, you can apply for 186 transition stream or direct entry. You can apply for Dharma as well. So a lot of visa options, guys, if you want to study trade courses, motor mechanic. So Aussizz Group does education consultancy. We've got more than 20 to 30 qualified education counselors, and we have about more than 40 registered migration agents. And please always consult a registered migration agent and an experienced education consultant if you want to choose a good course for your PR pathway. Thank you. Stay safe. Have you got any questions, Hina? I think you're mute.
Audible?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, we have few questions from Isha Sheikh. She's asking, what is the process of getting PR from STSOL listed jobs?
So any occupation
Any
for the
occupation?
short-term
I'm
list.
assuming maybe she's asking about the cook because automotive,
Yeah.
motor
Uh,
medium term
Harshit,
list.
you want to speak about the cook
Yeah.
because that's in a short-term list.
Yeah.
Yes, Isha. So if your occupation is listed in the short-term list, so I assume you are asking about cook over here. So if it is like that, then you are not eligible for 189, but you can apply for any state nominated visas, which are 190 and 491. So there are plenty of option in other states that if you are living and working in this state, then you are eligible for 190 state nominated and 491 state nominated visas. So 491 are currently the requirements are less as compared to 190 because it's a regional visa. You have to stay in regional for 3 years. So I'll suggest that due to this labor shortage, I suggest you try for that visa. If you are working in a nominated occupation, try to work in regional in that state. So it will help you to get your PR.
Yeah, and then at the end of the day, even if it's in a short-term list, you can apply for your training visa for 12 months, and that will help, as Harshit said, it will help you to accumulate work experience. And if you accumulate work experience, you can look for state nomination 491 as well. So that will help as well. And on the side, maybe you can check if you can do some other course if that's you're eligible to study further. Yeah.
We have more questions from Isha. Hold on just a minute. Yeah. So she has asked another question. Can I convert my Masters of Health Science to chef course or chef diploma? Will it affect my student visa?
Yeah, so Isha, I suggest that if you are changing your course as you're downgrading from master's to chef course, I'll suggest that you should apply for a new visa because in this one there are chances that immigration can cancel your visa because you are not meeting the requirements of your student visa. So
Yeah.
suggested to lodge a new visa application. if you're studying any trade occupation.
Yeah, because you need to make sure that when you come on a student visa, you commit to the department and you basically explain your GTE, that you'll be studying this course, why you want to study this course. So like Harshit said, if you're completely changing from a master's to a diploma, then I would recommend that maybe you seek a consultation first before you change your course. And a lot of people like change their courses, but then they said, oh, why did I change my course? Now that course is back in the list. So these things like keep changing. So maybe now when you change your course, do consult a migration agent before you change your course.
Agree.
Yeah.
We have another question from Sanduni. She or he is asking, can dependent visa holder start the course like motor mechanic while he is in on student visa?
Yeah, they can, isn't it, Harshit? Like when if the primary applicant on a student visa, the secondary applicant can also do a course on the side.
Yeah,
You are
if
eligible to study. Yeah.
yeah, if they are student visa, actually, Gunjan, there is condition on the student visa
Condition.
that the dependent cannot work for more than 3 months.
Study.
Study.
Sir, cannot study for more
Yeah.
than 3 months. So they can breach this condition and the visa
Hmm.
can get cancelled. So it is suggested not to study uh, on student visa if you're dependent
I had
spouse.
someone who was studying masters and his wife did some certificate, or maybe that was on TR.
Yeah, it might be on TR
On TR,
485 visa.
yeah.
Yeah,
So you do your
and
student, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, so I previously explained as well that if you are working, if you are not a primary holder of a student visa, and if you want to do a job ready program, you are not eligible to do it. So if you are planning to do something like that, then your dependent spouse won't be eligible to do a job ready program.
Mm.
So I
Yeah.
suggest you should consult a migration agent before you want to take any step regarding that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Harshit, for pointing this out because we have been receiving this kind of queries every day. I just have to add one question out of this. Like, if someone is on a dependent visa, they can apply a student visa and study, right?
Yeah, they can be a primary applicant.
Student dependent visa, they can't study, but they are allowed to apply their own student visa
Yes,
and
so
study.
once your wife or your husband has finished the course, your partner can apply for a new student visa and you can become the dependent. But
Yeah.
just plan it accordingly, like, just for the sake of studying, don't just enroll into a course. Maybe if you're eligible for a 485 visa, see
Mhm.
your own pathway first, apply for your 485 because your husband can study on your 485 visa as well. So if you lodge a 485, your husband is on a 485 dependent, and then he can study on a 485 visa. I mean, yeah.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
We have another question from Wish. I want to plan to move to Western Australia state. Can you please let me know cookery related? What about future of this course? How can I check which skills Western Australia need more person in future? If I finish commercial cookery in Western Australia full time 1 year, should I be eligible for 491?
Okay, Vish. So yeah, if you want to move to Western Australia, currently there are not good news for Western Australia. Recently, yesterday, they have their allocation has been exhausted, and for this financial year, so they are not giving any more invites right now. But for future, let's say if you want to move right now and study cookery, then I'll suggest you can go over there and do your job ready program in Western Australia. Then you will be eligible to apply for 491. If you have an offer letter for future for 6 months or 1 year, then you can be eligible for that visa 491.
Thank you so much. The other question is from Isha again. She's asking, does MTSOL list change?
Not usually. It's been the same for a while, and they divided why they divide this medium term and short term list is as per the graph and the data that which occupations are in real shortage and what is the demand of each occupation. Maybe, but department comes up with surprises, right? They when they change, they really don't give any indication or notification what are they going to change. So just plan your things according to the what the rules are currently, or consult someone who has been experienced in the migration industry for a couple of years, because we guys then know the pattern, what's been happening and what courses have been in demand. So yeah, just plan it accordingly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. I believe this is the last and final question from Venkata. How many points do we need to get 190 visa in South Australia? And how long it may take to get invitation and visa? I'm working in outer regional South Australia as a chef from last 8 months as chef.
Uh, yes, Venkata. So yes, you can apply for South Australia state nomination. So the points requirement for South Australia 65 points only for 190. Okay, the only thing you need to meet the requirement is their 190 and 491 requirement. So if you want to apply for 190, I'm not sure that you have studied in South Australia, but if you have studied in South Australia, you require at least 12 months of experience. And if you are not studied, if you have studied in some other state and then move to South Australia, then it is 18 months in outer regional South Australia. So once you are eligible to apply, then South Australia is pretty quick in giving invitations. So you can receive an invitation within 1 week to 1 month once you are eligible. So I'll suggest that finish your employment and then apply for 190 visa.
Yeah, and I think South Australia is 12 months experience, I think, with the outer regional.
Yeah,
Yeah, 190
yeah.
is
For
12
for
months.
190, they have studied in South Australia. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
big
correct.
chances of
Yeah.
invitation. But Victoria is also open for the workforce skill pathway. If you have a lot of points, then you can maybe consult for Victoria as well. But like Harshit said, he's given the right information, so you have good chances. Yeah.
I believe we can end the session now if we don't have any more
Yeah,
questions.
he just commented. I think he studied in New South Wales.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
then
it's not
require 18 months of experience.
18 months. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much for attending the session. Please do not forget to leave your review for this session. I really want to thank Ms. Gunjan and Mr. Harshit. It, it was very, very informative. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you, viewers, to join us in this Education Summit 2022. I'm leaving the feedback link below in the chat box. Please review us and let us know how you feel about the today's session. Give your reviews. We'll be waiting for the reviews from your side. Thank you so much again.
Thank you,
Thank
Rina.
you, Ina. Thanks,
Again,
Harshit.
Thank you, viewers.